Good morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Today is gonna be that day. Gonna have things go my way. Embroidery fashion that sells. Using all my knowledge, I will excel. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. I search the web for a magical design. Looking high and low as I sip on my wine. Metallic thread, watch it shimmer and shine. I transform my blanks into a one-of-a-kind. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. Hook it up if you wanna embroider. Got the right tension, got my colors in order. Please no thread breaks, no time for rest. So much to do, I'll give it my best. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there, and welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and we host these daily sessions of just crafting. We do all kinds of things from sewing, embroidery, knitting, crocheting, and so much more. We just love all kinds of crafts, and we like to share all kinds of tips, tricks, and sometimes we do some demos. So we just sit back, relax, and just have a great time. And if you are here for the first time, go ahead and pop in some information in the chat here. Let us know that you're new, because we just love to welcome new people, and we have a fantastic time. We're a very friendly group, and we love to help each other out. So if you're running into a snag of maybe, having a little issue with what you're crafting and you're just trying to figure things out, put your little problem in there or type it into the comment if you're watching the replay, because we will answer you and help you out there. Alrighty, good morning. Let's see who we have here from all over the place. We've got people from Maryland, North Central Texas. Good morning. Sugar Springs, Michigan. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning. We've got Lake Ridge, Virginia. Good morning, Leslie. We've got just people from everywhere, and we just really love to share all kinds of information. So don't be shy. Go ahead, drop your name into the chat. Just say hello, and you're just never going to regret it, because you know, the instant you really become a part of our community, I mean, you're just going to see how much more enjoyable this is going to be. You just really can make these virtual friends, and it just is amazing because we really kind of follow each other and help each other out, and it's just really amazing. I really, really love this group. Alrighty, Faker McFake from Louisiana, good morning. Now, I am tuning in from Miami, Florida, where it is really, really hot, really, really humid, and a lot of rain. So, great day to be crafting.
Wait,
yes,
wait a second.
Today
Do we have a
is
birthday?
Joyce Adams'
It's a Gifted Crafter's
74th birthday.
Let's
Happy
celebrate.
birthday to you.
Let's wish them a
She is
super happy
celebrating
birthday.
74 wonderful
Wishing you
years.
many, many
Yay!
more.
Awesome.
We have a
Yay.
birthday
Happy birthday
among us.
to Joyce.
It's celebration
She started
time.
sewing with her grandmother's
Have a great day.
treadle. I mean, she's using a treadle machine.
Have an
Amazing.
awesome day.
Love it, love it, love it. Happy birthday to you. Awesome. Everyone wish Joyce a very happy birthday.
Happy
'Cause
birthday.
that's amazing. 74 years. You're loving it. Okay. So it is also National
Happy
Sewing
birthday
Month.
from all of us to you.
Yay. It's just a fantastic day. You're just having all kinds of things going on. So we've got her birthday. We've got the National Sewing Month Day. It is also Happy Hump Day, right? Yay. We are here. It is Wednesday and we are almost through the week. So that's really a lot of fun. Okay, yay, happy birthday. Thank you guys for wishing all the birthday wishes to her. Awesome. Okay, so today we have a lot to talk about. And before we get into all of our things, we always do a nice little toast to start off our hour, right? So go ahead and grab your cup of whatever it is you have in the morning, coffee, tea, water, soda. There's no judgment here. Go ahead and raise your glass. Let's give everyone a little toast and hope that everyone has a fantastic day. I'm pouring you a cup here in case you don't have yours, but here's to another wonderful day. So cheers, everyone. Let me just grab a swivel. Okay. Feels great to have some nice ice water in the morning, especially if you're living in Florida and it's really, really hot. So we'll get to the coffee in a few, but we start off with the water. Okay, so I know that a lot of people here like to have their snacks in the morning. Hopefully you've got your drink, you're in your cozy spot and you're able to watch. And let's go ahead and grab some virtual snacks because I know everyone loves to have their snacks. And we've got a birthday, so there might be some birthday cake in there too, right? So let's go ahead and roll that out. And here comes that food truck. And guys, we've got all kinds of stuff. So no worries, you can have anything you want. It's all virtual and it's calorie free. So go ahead and pick up anything that you like. It's all free. Coffee, tea, soda, water, cookies. We even have that birthday cake to celebrate, right? Got to keep the celebrations going. And we have some healthy stuff out there like carrots and kale if you like to have your little shake in the morning. Yay! Oh, cinnamon raisin bread. Yum. There we go. Good morning from Wisconsin. Hey, Marge, how are you? Awesome. So we've got our snacks, we've got our drinks, we're all ready to go. And I have to tell you guys, I've gotten quite a few questions, all kind of around the same thing. Oh, Cindy, it's today's your parents' 70th wedding anniversary. Yay! Awesome. That's amazing. Well, congrats to them. And let them know on our behalf that we wish them many, many more. So I have to say, I've gotten a few comments, emails, all kind of asking the same question on a project that we started talking about yesterday, and we started looking at it in Embrilliance. And the answer is yes, you can with a repositional hoop. Now, what was the question? So a lot of people were asking if they can do the, let's see if I can show you. We are doing a utensil holder by Designs by JuJu. Okay, this is what we were looking at yesterday. And a lot of you have a smaller machine, and we talked about the different options that they have, right? And so if you have a small machine like the SE1900 or the SE2000 or just something small, the biggest hoop size that you have is a 5x7. And so it can be a little bit frustrating when you are not able to do a bigger design, but there is an option for you. And I'm going to show you exactly what that is. And this is called a repositional hoop. Okay, and a repositional hoop will allow you to do a bigger size on your current machine. So those with the SE1900s, SE2000 machines that are only big enough to do a 5x7 hoop, you can purchase a repositional hoop, and it's not very expensive at all. And it will allow you to do this one is a 5x12. So a little bit larger size for your project. And it just requires you to do a couple of things in Embrilliance, nothing too horrible, right? I'll show you exactly what I mean when we get into Embrilliance. I'll show you how you can do that. But yes, and that's super exciting for a lot of people who don't have those bigger hoops and like the Luminaires or the Stellaires or, you know, with that bigger hoop size. So I hope that this video is going to be just for you guys, and we're going to stitch out the rest of this, right? So that's something that I wanted to kind of share with you guys right off the bat, because I had so many people ask that question, and I understand that hoop envy. I do. I really do. Some of these designs you see, you just want to make them bigger, and you know, you're kind of stuck with this. But this is at least another option that you have. And we're kind of gonna go through that. So yes, Mr. H, is he feeling better? Yes, he's gotten much better. Yes, he has. We've done a turnaround here, guys. But we still got to keep him busy, right? Okay, so let's kind of get to it. There's a few things I want to talk about. I do have a project on the embroidery machine, which is the front piece of the utensil holder. Now, I went ahead and started off a lot of the steps only because we don't have that much time, and I wanted you to be able to see at least the finished result of that first piece. And then tomorrow we will go ahead and we'll stitch out the second piece on here. This is that 5x12 only for certain machines. Yes, but I've seen many machines. So if you go to the link, we've got the link, it's in our store. So if you go there and you click on that link, check, because it's in Amazon. You can get it from Amazon, so you should be able to get it shipped pretty quickly. And in Amazon, it will tell you, you know, what machines are good and whatnot. And there's like a little list. So just go to the link, click on it, look in the Amazon shop, and just make sure that your machine is one of the ones on here. I purchased this. Again, I have the Brother machine, so you definitely will want to do. Now, Amazon shop is under the items that are shown in the live stream, so check that link, look in Amazon, make sure that your machine is able to use this hoop. There's a whole list of them, so I don't know what machines you particularly all have, but I have the Brother machine, and it works perfectly well with that. Now, the thing that you have to look at when you're looking at these hoops is basically the notches, right? So all the hoops have notches on the sides, right? That's for brother machines. That's how you are able to kind of do this. You just need to make sure that this is something your machine takes in terms of the hoop. And the only difference with this hoop and why you're able to get that bigger size is because you can line up the first 2 notches to do the first portion of your project, and then you line it up with the second notch here, right? So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 notches. So you share that middle notch. So you line up the first 2 and then you line up the last 2. And then once you have that, you're able to do this. And you're going to see how incredibly easy it is to prepare your file in Embrilliance for a repositional hoop. And it's just so simple. And it really changes things for those that don't have those big hoops going on. Okay. All right. So Miss Ray should put the link in the section in your Amazon shop. You've got the link there. Once you click on that, just read through it, make sure your machine can handle it, and you'll be fine. Okay. So before we get into all of the little itty bitty details on that, I want to give some crafting news, and I want to share another kind of little tip that I'm doing, and I'll explain that in a minute. Let's just get to our crafting news, because we've got a story here I wanted to kind of share. Okay, so let's go over to South Dakota, and we're gonna go near the Black Hills of South Dakota, and this is where you'll want to mark your calendar for this weekend's Hill City Quilt and Fiber Arts Show. Now, this marks their 26th annual event, and it's happening from 9 to 4 p.m. both days. They're going to have over 300 quilts and fiber art pieces displayed in the Hill City Middle School gym all along the main street. So they're going to have it throughout the main street and throughout the middle school gym, which is pretty cool. Now, should be really nice when you kind of walk through there just to kind of see all that. So that's pretty cool. Now, they're going to feature new artists, and this year their spotlight is on a longtime quilter by the name of Vicki Barling, who has been quilting since the late 90s. And there'll be plenty of vendors for quilting supplies. Of course, they're going to have lots of little snacks in there like coffee, beef jerky, and a lot more. And the admission for that is only $7. And best of all, the kids and teens 18 and under get in for free. So if you're in that area, go ahead and grab some snacks and go ahead and enjoy seeing all of those quilts. I think that's pretty amazing, and I bet you can pick up a couple of really cool things from those vendors out there. So if you end up going, take some pictures and let us know on our Facebook group, because I'd love to see that. Okay, we've got one more for you, and this is in Florida, and we've got someone by the name of Kathy Phillips, who has a heart behind Kathy's Quilt Studio. And she's been quilting, and it's been part of her life since her stepmother taught her to sew. Now, she makes everything from wall hangings to bedspreads, and she even does it while she's caring for her husband at home, and she likes to still kind of give back. So every year she donates 40 quilts to pre-K and kindergarten students at a local elementary school, and she teaches quilting to children, seniors, and people with disabilities. Kathy loves to remind folks that anyone can learn to quilt with a little time and patience, and I think that's pretty amazing. I think, you know, anytime that you're able to teach someone a skill, I think it's really cool. You just can't imagine the impact you make on that person's life and how that tradition will continue to carry forward. So I think that's pretty amazing. Okay, so if you're in that area, check out her quilting studio, and they also have the Space Coast Quilters Guild that's in that area, so you may want to check that out as well. All right, so that is our crafting news that we've prepared for you guys today. So now let's get into some of this discussion on here, because I've got quite a few things to talk about. Now, in several of our other projects that we've done, you see how I kind of lay out my fabrics on the design board and I organize them, and I just use these little sticky notes. And I know some of you out there have those little alphabeties that are pretty cool, and you're able to kind of, and alphabeties, if you're not sure what that is, they're these little plastic letters, sometimes numbers, things to kind of help you keep track of all of the different pieces of a design that you're working on. And so I don't have those, so I have these little post-it notes that I cut up into little squares, and I would just write the letters on them. But as you can see, they can kind of like get all over the place. And then, you know, I'm struggling to kind of find them. And so I wanted something, a little solution that maybe will be a little bit better than pieces of paper. Although sometimes I think it's okay because I'm able to pin it to certain things, but I'm looking for another solution, and I wanted something that's a DIY solution. So I went ahead and ordered a couple of products from Amazon, and I think they may work. So I'm going to be testing that out to see. And it's just basically kind of mimicking like these little squares, or they can be circles, you know, whatever it is that you have. And I want to find a kind of low-cost way to be able to kind of organize my stuff within the design board. So I'm going to see if that kind of works out, and if it does, I will let you guys know about it. But I'm in the testing phases of it to see if it just works. So more to come on this one. So that's why I've got my little pile of papers here, and it tends to kind of blow away all over the place. So I need something a little bit more stable that doesn't just, you know, fly by every time I switch a little piece of paper and it wants to like fly away. So so something that I'm just working on there on the side. All right, so let's talk about Embrilliance, and let's talk about these repositional hoops, shall we? So let's get into, I'm going to bring my laptop a little closer here. Okay, so here we have, and I'm going to show let's show the first one here. If you guys can see my screen now. Let's see. I think we're kind of frozen there. Let me check. Give me a second here. Mr. H is checking. It looks like we're frozen on our laptop screen. Yeah, I'm showing the front pocket. So there we go. Okay, much better. Yes, all right. We are good now. So what we're looking at is the actual front pocket of that design. So the first thing you want to stitch out is the front pocket. I mean, it really doesn't matter. You can now, yeah, you got to do the front pocket first, so take that back. So the front pocket is a pretty simple applique design, and if you open up the objects screen, we were kind of taking a look at this yesterday, and we were looking at the density. And so one of the questions that we were asking is, why do you need to use 2 layers of washable stabilizer on your hoop when you are stitching this out? And really, it's because of the density of the design. So not so much on the front pocket, because the front pocket is kind of light. However, that top portion of the design, meaning this top portion right here, that decorative satin, it does a satin stitch and then it does a decorative stitch on top of the satin stitch to give it that little bit of a design on it. That little piece is super dense, and so you don't want your fabrics kind of sinking in, and you want to have the stability to be able to do that stitch, which is one of the reasons why you have to have the 2 layers. I'm not so concerned with the front pocket, but when you get to the background of that, you have a lot of heavy stitching going on around the edges of that particular project. So you really need to have that stability to kind of maintain that really dense stitch. And so we took a look at our density map, and you can see on the density map, you know, where your heavy pieces are. And it labels that by looking at the density map, you can see where the heavy pieces are. So blue is like a light, blue is good. You like a lot of blue on your project because that means it's not too dense, but you do have certain areas where we have some yellow and red going on. That means there's a lot of stitching in that particular piece where it gets a little bit heavy. So a lot of overlay that can happen. And it's not that that's a horrible thing. It's just something that needs to happen in the design. So the design is good, but let's say you're buying a design from like Etsy shop, or maybe you got a digitizer that's sending you a design. You want to kind of look at the density to make sure that your design is good, right? You want to make sure you don't have a ton of reds and yellows going on throughout the whole design. Because if you do, that means you have a very dense design, and you may want to rethink, you know, stitching that out, you know, doing your test, because you may need to have some corrections done on your design. So maybe that's something with Embrilliance that you can correct. But if you've purchased it, then, you know, you want to kind of know your digitizers and know the quality of the work that you're getting. You don't want to use digitizers that just kind of willy-nilly the designs, you know, and do kind of like auto things that really doesn't give you a very good result. So this one is from a very reputable company, Designs by JuJu. They do a fantastic job with all of their embroideries. And so you can see here, it's practically all blue, which is awesome. And that's a really nice way to kind of just check your designs. And you kind of want to just take a peek at this, even if you have a great design from a reputable company, and you want to be able to just kind of glance to see where are the pain points going to be on my design. Where do I really need to kind of watch my machine sometimes to see where these heavy areas are? And so you just want to be able to glance through that just to see. That way you kind of know where the heavy pieces are on your design. So you can do that by looking at the density map. And then when you click on the density map again, it just gives you a really detailed look of the stitches themselves. And you can see you've got a lot of satin stitching going on here, and you can see the underlay going on to support that satin stitch, which is perfect. That's exactly what you want to see, and it looks like it's all supported very well. So that's a nice way to kind of just take a peek at the actual design before you throw it onto your embroidery machine. Okay, and so when you just click on it again, it'll take you right out of that. So this little icon right here is a really nice way to just kind of check the design. Okay, so let's get to the actual design itself. You can see here, you've got your placement line, your tack down line, and then you were going ahead and adding the fabric and tacked it down, and then it kind of gets into the embroidery. So there's the placement line for the face, and here is the tack down line for the face. And so I used several different fabrics that I have here. Let me just bring them over to show you. And on here, I just have several different choices. I kind of played around with some of these fabrics, and I was looking at what can I use. And then there's also a feature where you can take pictures of your fabric and load them onto your computer, and then you can play around with the different fabrics until you can decide which one will look best for each of the applique pieces, and then figure that out before you even stitch it out on your machine. So that's a nice option to have. We covered that a couple weeks, maybe even a month ago when we talked about that. So you can even just, you know, You don't have to even cut your fabrics until you can figure out what you want. So that's one thing that maybe, you know, you went ahead and you cut it and then you realize, I don't like it, I don't want to use this one. So before you do any cutting or anything like that, play with those options in Embrilliance, because it's really nice to do that. Oh, I do like your fabric choices. So let's talk about the fabric choices. So on here, I've got a couple of options. So I have this novelty. This is a harvest bundle that came together here, and it's got different colors on here. And this is kind of where my inspiration kind of came from. So this is one of the bundles here, and you can see you've got the nice little orange, you've got your plaid, and then it has these two on top, which I thought were really nice. Let me just take the little bow off. Here we go. These are really nice, but here's the problem with these. These pictures that are on here are pretty big. And so if you look at the applique yourself, you're only going to have an itty bitty piece, like for the face or for the hat or for the little sash that goes around the hat. And so you're really not going to be able to tell what these things are. So these pictures are a no-go, because the pictures on the fabric themselves are just too large for the amount of space that we need for our applique. So you can have this going on, but nobody's going to be able to make out what that is. So this is a no-go. We're not going to be able to use these fabrics, but yes, they are pretty. Yes, that's true. I agree. But pretty for another project. It's not going to work for this particular applique. Although, if you want to use this for the background, you can, right? You've got the front piece is only the applique with the little scarecrow on it. So you've got a lot going on there just with the scarecrow. So you don't want to have a super busy fabric behind the scarecrow, because it's going to take away from the applique itself. So try to keep the fabric choice for just that first part. Try to keep that really simple, okay? So yeah, we've got that going. Okay, so Mr. H right now has about 5 cameras going on. So, trust me, not everyone can do that, but let's give Mr. H a hand and a little thumbs up for him on the hard work. Awesome, thank you. He's got all 5 cameras all up and running. We're a little bit worried if we were going to be able to get that up, but he's got them all up and running. So pretty cool. Okay, so we've got these fabrics that we know is a no-go because of the designs on them. So we won't be able to use these for the front pocket, but you can use it for the back, right? So no-go on the front. Then we've got these. These would totally work, but I think they're way too busy because I have the applique that I'm putting, and I don't want to take away from the applique. So I decided to go with a very simple little, let's see if I can find the smaller piece, but that's okay. We can use this one. We've got some fabric here. It's just a plain fabric, but has some nice fall color on it, which is really nice. So this is what I'm using as the front portion for the background. And then we're going to have the scarecrow applique right in the front here. And of course, you're going to have some decorative stitching going around it. So that's why I chose this very simple plain fabric, so that my applique can kind of pop and stand out. Now, when you're looking at background fabric, we've talked about these that you can certainly use, but I really decided to go with something like this. And I think that'll go really well on the background. And I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. We haven't stitched this one out yet. I just did a test thing on the side with the repositional hoop, just using any fabric. So right now that fabric's blue and I'm not going to be using that, but I wanted to just kind of stitch something out to show you. So this one's a blue fabric. We're not using this one, but I just wanted to show you guys that it can be done. So we've got our fabric selections, and we need a couple more pieces. I do have some charm squares. This is Robert Kaufman. This is a charm square collection. It's called Celebrate Fall. And this one is really, really pretty. I used this on another project that I have. And it's got some metallic in it. So it's really a gorgeous charm pack. These are kind of just leftover from what I had, and I overbought on the charm packs. But gorgeous, gorgeous collection. It's got that metallic shine for a lot of these, and I think they are beautiful. And you can really make another gorgeous project with this. I was trying to remember what project it was that I made with this, and I know I gave it away to someone, but I couldn't remember for the life of me. But I know this was left over from a project. And I've got another charm pack here. It's called Shades of the Season. This is another Robert Kaufman. Again, it's got a little bit of that metallic on here. And also just quickly kind of go through some of those. Really gorgeous. Love the colors. And I think this can be a really nice collection if you are making something. So really, really nice. Now, I did use one design on here from these collections, and that was this one right here. Very, very simple, has a slight little metallic shine to it, and I'm using this as part of the hat. So that is what I selected in terms of fabric. And I also did some other ones that I got out of my scrap pile, and you can see it's already kind of cut up. We don't need a very big piece of it. So I've got a little brown charm square here and a little bit of a green, all part of the applique pieces that we're gonna need. So pick out your fabrics and then just kind of lay them out. And then if you want, take pictures of your fabric and load that to your machine, and you can see your fabrics in Embrilliance to see if that'll work and if you like the combination that it's giving you. So that's your fabric selection. So now let's jump back here into Embrilliance, and you can see all of your steps, right? So now you're getting into your appliques, and you have your tack down stitches, as well as your placement lines and your tack down stitches. And then towards the end, you start getting into the actual embroidery. So it starts off with this reddish brown is what it's called, Brother Embroidery Reddish Brown. And you can see the little decorations here on the side. That's the decorative stitch that it's going to put around the scarecrow. And then it starts to stitch out that satin stitch. So let's go over to the embroidery machine because I want to set this thing to go. I did change out the, thread here. So it's ready to go for me to just hit start. And you can see I've already stitched out the hat. I started some of the satin stitching to save us some time. And it's ready to go, and it's ready to stitch out, I believe it is the nose. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to go. Now, you noticed that I pulled out my, I ended up pulling out my table away from the wall because I used the Repositional hoop, and I did have a boo-boo. So heads up, when you are using your Repositional hoop, make sure that you have enough space on the back of your machine, because the hoop will be moving, right, as you are embroidering. And normally I have the 5x7 hoop, so I have it perfectly aligned for that. But with the Repositional hoop, you do need that little extra space. And so because you need that extra space, you want to pull out your table to make sure that your hoop is not going to knock the wall and it'll throw off the registration on your design. Ask me how I know. Very late last night, and that's what it did, but I was able to stop it in time and kind of save it. So make sure you have enough clearance on your machine when you are working with a larger hoop. Very, very important. Okay, it did stitch out the nose, and the next thread that I'm going to need to put in here now is going to be for the eyes. I'm sorry, for the cheeks. So we're going to stitch out the cheeks here. So of course, I'm changing my thread here. And I want to make sure that I am very kind to my tension disc. So we're going to do a proper change of the threads. And you want to make sure that what you do is just go to the top of the machine, cut your thread, and then join the new thread on top with a little knot. And then I'm going to raise my foot and then pull out my thread from the bottom. Keep pulling until you see your knot coming out with the new thread. And then you can put your foot down and then go ahead and cut your thread. That is a proper way to change your threads. Do not yank your threads off the machine because you will damage your tension over time. And you definitely don't want to do that. So I've got that in place right here now, and it's going to go ahead and stitch out. Now these stitch outs are really quick. They're about 1 and 2 minutes long. So it's more changing the threads, if anything. But of course, if you've got a multi-needle, you can align all your threads and get it to stitch out in no time. So while that is stitching out, let's take a look at Embrilliance, because I want to talk about this repositional hoop. So this is the design that we have with a 5x7 hoop. And you can see the hoop size down on the bottom where it says hoop, and it has 130 millimeters by 180. Okay, this is all the way on the bottom. There we go. Okay, so you've got your hoop size, and then you'll see on the size it says selected 45.2 millimeters by 33.5 millimeters, right? That is the actual size of the design of what you have selected. So right now I am selecting this piece right here, which is just that top portion of the hat. That is the size that it's showing here. If I were to move over and click on something else, you'll see that the selected size has changed and the hoop size has not, right? So that is your hoop size. So now let's go over. You may want to zoom out on that one, I guess. Let's go over to the top and look at our menu options. And we're going to go over to our edit, and then we're going to look at preferences. This is where you'll set your hoop. And so you can see there is an option here for hoops. So if you click on that, it will automatically show you all the hoops that is for your particular format on your machine. Now, I am using a brother machine. They use the .pes format for the software for embroidery. And so these are all of the hoops that are listed here. And here is my 5x7. Now, if you're not too crazy about millimeters and you want to see things in inches, you can see that down here as well. It does tell you, or approximately 5x7, and it will change as you click. You'll see now it's 4x12. It'll continue to change. Here's 6x10. So you know, you can find your hoop size that way if you're looking for inches, if that helps. But what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and change this. And this is how you would select it. Once you've purchased your hoop, you're going to want to select this hoop size to be able to do your design. And so it's not going to work for, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of here. So because this pocket, front pocket is only at a 5x7 inch size, this one is not one that you're going to want to use the repositional hoop for, right? You're going to want to use that for the second step, which is the backing. And so the backing, as we saw on the design instructions, can be done in different hoop sizes. So this is the 5x7 inch size. And now we want to use the repositional hoop to give us that bigger size. So let's go in here. Again, I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to preferences. And I am going to go over to this area where it says hoop style. You have normal, which is the default position that we're in right now. And then we also have multi-position. I want you to go ahead and click on multi-position on here. And you're going to see a whole list of hoops that you can get. These are all repositional hoops that you can purchase. And we are looking for our size, which is this one right here. Let's see if I can find it. Nope. There we go. This is the 130 by 300 millimeter or the 5 by 12 hoop. And then you want to go ahead and hit apply, and you want to hit OK. Now, notice how your screen has changed. First of all, your hoop size on the bottom is going to say the hoop size that you just had. But notice right here in the middle, you now have 3 sections in Embrilliance. And what this is doing now, and if you kind of pan out just a little bit here, you can see here how your hoop size has changed. This design we had loaded when we had the 5 by 7 hoop. Now look how much larger your hoop size is. So this is now the 5 by 12 hoop size. So what you want to do at this point is you want to create your design for this 5 by 12 hoop size, right? So that's what you're going to want to do, and it's very simple to do. And so you may want to, at this point, drag and drop your design in here. I can kind of take this and stretch this out a bit and make my design just bigger, right? And so maybe that is what I want to go ahead and stitch out. Now, do you need enthusiasts to do that? No. For changing to the repositional hoop, that one is just a standard option, and the preferences will all be there, because when you first purchase Embrilliance, you have to tell it what hoop size you use, and you like to kind of put the default of whatever software you are using. So brother uses .pes, you know, whatever software your embroidery machine reads, that is the type that you want to pick. And so you're just going to pick your hoop size, and you can change your hoop size for anything. So let's say I'm doing a smaller project, maybe just like a little logo or a name or initials. You need to be able to change that hoop size. So that's available for everyone. And this is how you would change that hoop size. So if I'm doing something on a little 4 by 4 inch hoop, that's where I would change it. So you're going to see the list of all your hoops here. Now you'll always have this on the side for hoop style to be able to change from a normal size hoop to a multi-position hoop. So that's going to be available. Another thing that you can do, and this is a completely different lesson, so we'll get into this on another day. Just let me know if you guys would like to know that. You can create virtual hoops or new hoops that you can add on to this here. And you can do that with these options here. You can create a brand new hoop, give it a name, and it will list that out here for you, and you can kind of keep that as part of your stash of hoops that you have. So maybe there's a particular hoop that you like to do for a design that maybe you do repetitive times. You can name your hoops. You can change the name here of the names of the descriptions of the hoop. So maybe you don't want to call it jumbo hoop. Maybe you want to call it repositional hoop, or you want to call it whatever it is that would make sense to you to be able to know that that's what that size hoop size is. You can rename these by just hitting the edit button, or you can totally create your own hoop with that may have a size that may not be listed here. So that's something that you can do on here, and you can create your designs to fit into that particular hoop. So you may want to do that. So now, what do we do with this design? Now that we have this all panned out, it is a 5 by 7 right? The beginning or front pocket was a 5x7, and all we did was stretch out the backing from a 5x7 hoop to be able to fit into this repositional hoop. So all I did was stretch it out to the ends here. And now, how do you make this design so that you can bring it over to your embroidery machine? Super simple. All you have to do here is go up to the top and hit File. And what you want to do is you want to do Save As. Now, there's two things you can do. You can save it as Stitch and Working, and that will create your file, but it will also create it in the BX format. And then you can kind of use that file and manipulate it for other projects. Or you can just save it as a stitch file, and that'll just give you the files that you need to bring over to your embroidery machine. Both will give you the files, but I always make it a habit of saving it as a working file first, and then you can save it as a stitch file if you'd like later. So let's go ahead, do File Save As, Working File, and I'm just going to put this on my desktop. And I'm just going to call it, I don't know, Scarecrow back. And I'll just leave it like that for now. You notice that the file type is .be. So we want to save that. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and I want to check. I'm going to go to my desktop. And you'll see here, there's your working file, right? But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save the actual file that I'm going to use for my machine. So File, Stitch File As. Let's go back to desktop again. And I'm going to say Scarecrow Stitch File. You can name it something better. I'm just kind of picking anything for right now. And so it'll save that. And when you go over back to my desktop, you're going to now see that in your desktop, you now have a Scarecrow stitch file bottom, and you have a Scarecrow stitch file top. So what is that? Why did it have two files? And why do I now have a text file? Because if you open up the text file, it'll give you some pretty cool information here, right? It'll tell you right off the bat, the program has split your file into two segments. It's got 5 colors in it. And it tells you some thread colors in the original file may not be needed in some of the split segments. So you need to make sure that you're checking all of those placement lines. You may not need some of them. So this is what time that you want to run this back into Embrilliance to see what's going on. It also gives you some information on the colors and what it's doing here. So it's really nice to kind of look at that. But let's take a look at the 2 files that it's created. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab a new tab here. So we did File New. And then let's drag and drop those files. We're going to look at the top. And then I'm going to actually do another one, another new one, and I'm going to show you the bottom. Okay, so let's look at the top first. And you'll notice here, this is the top of that second design. So when you're looking at it, what it's showing you, it's basically, remember, you've got 3 notches here, right? We've got the top, we've got the middle, and the bottom. When you hook it onto your machine, you're going to hook the top and the middle only. And it's showing you the design for just this top portion. And you can see, well, it's not closed, right? Well, let's take a look in Embrilliance at what it's doing. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up here. And you can see the very first is this black line. You know what? We don't need that. That's a placement line here, but you can see it's way off of the original design. That's because, remember, in the text file, it says you may have some stitches that you may no longer need, right? We don't need this one because we don't need a placement line for a 5x7 hoop. We're using a repositional hoop. So you can go ahead and delete that one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit delete and get rid of that one because we don't need it. And so now you're left here with your placement line here, and then the tack down line. That's when you're going to put down your batting, and then here you're going to put down your fabric, and you're going to move forward with this. It's going to stitch this piece out, and then when you're done stitching this out, and it's done that nice little satin stitch with the decorative stitch on top, you're going to be done with this file. And what you're going to do is at that point, you're going to remove your hoop and you're going to rehoop, right? You're going to put it back into your machine again, but instead of hooping it onto the first 2 notches on the top, you're going to hoop it on to the last 2, right? So I'm sorry, it's a 4. 1, 2 here on the top, and then 3, 4 on the bottom, right? So when you hoop it back up, you're going to do the last 2 notches here, right? So you've got 2 and 4, the 2 top and the 2 bottom. So no sharing in the middle. Sorry about that. So 2 on the bottom, that's what you're going to hoop back onto your machine, and then it's going to look at that bottom file, and it's going to stitch out the bottom portion. And there's going to be a join. There's going to be a little bit of overlap in that center because it needs to kind of join the 2 together. So that's what you kind of see when you're looking at that. So if I look at this bottom portion, if we can show the bottom portion here. All right, so we have the top one. That's we just stitched out. Now you take it off your machine and you're going to do the bottom. And so this is that bottom piece that you're going to do. But again, has this little line here, that placement line, we don't need that. We can go ahead and delete that one. And all you're left with are the stitches that you need for this particular design. And so you want to kind of just go through each of the steps to see if there's anything else that you do not need. And so we've got the placement line, the tack down line, the other tack down line for the fabric, you know, and you just kind of go through the motion. And you want to make sure that you are only selecting the stitches that you need just by going through it. And if you're not sure, run it through the stitch simulator, right? If you run through the stitch simulator, you're going to see exactly what it's going to stitch out. And then you can see if there's anything in addition that you need to take out. So it's always good to do that. And then once you've done that, it's going to end up stitching this out, and you're going to have a much bigger hoop size to work with. And then on here, you can see we didn't get to finish up our little scarecrow, but I'll finish this up tonight and I'll show you guys tomorrow. But let me pull it off the machine. Don't want to bump it too much, but this is what we have so far. Now bring this over, and this is what it's looking like right now. Now we still have to finish up the face and a couple other little decorative stitches, but you've got your half moon, if you want to say here, all cut out and ready to go. And then you're going to add this to your hoop, right? This is what you're going to add on to your project. So it'll be kind of like this, right? That's one of the steps that you're going to do. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But is the option available? Yes, if you have a repositional hoop, you can definitely do this. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys. I know you guys had a lot of questions on that, so I think it was really important to kind of go through that. Tomorrow we'll continue our little journey on this, and then we'll be able to kind of move on and see the rest of the embroidery and put all of this together. Okay, guys, I think our hour is up. I want to wish Joyce a very happy birthday once again, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.